the record. In docket 22-00284, people of the state of Michigan versus David Richards. Would the parties please introduce themselves to the record?
Jake Westy on behalf of the people.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Assistant Public Defender Lauren Sutter appearing on behalf of Mr. Richards, who is standing to my right.
And sir, you are David Richards?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. This is the time set for a probation violation hearing. Mr. Wisty, how are we proceeding today?
Your Honor, we've reached a recommendation where Mr. Richards would plead guilty to technical violation number 6, failing to pay fines and costs amount due 301 as of 9/3/2022. In exchange, the remaining 2 violations would be dismissed. Recommendation is to continue on probation.
That is correct, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Richards, first of all, Ms. Sutter, that is your understanding of the what we're going to do today for the hearing?
It is.
And Mr. Richards, that's your understanding also, correct?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to. So if I remember the violation is to plead to number 6 and the rest are dismissed. Is that correct?
Correct, Your
All
Honor.
right. Let me make that note. I don't want to read it. All right, Mr. Richards, you understand that this is a probation violation which came out of the original file. In which you pleaded guilty to, it looks like a pled no contest to MDOP building. Does that sound right?
Yes.
All right. And so you understood the maximum penalty at the time that the court was dealing with were consistent to that charge, which is a no contest plea. And correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Sutter, that was not, the sentence was 9 months probation.
I believe that's the case, Your Honor. I don't think our office handled the case originally, so I don't
Okay.
have perfect notes from that.
All right. But that sounds right, the 9 months probation. And then this was a violation of one of those 9 months violations.
Correct.
All right. Sir, I'm gonna have you raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, or nothing but the truth? So help you God.
I do.
All right. You understand you have the right to a hearing here. You have the right to have Ms. Sutter cross-examine and contest any charges brought by the people. The probation officer in this matter would be questioned and you could cross-examine on it. You've chosen to waive those rights and plead responsible to the violation. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I'm going to take you back now. This was a probation violation that was filed on September 30th, 2022 by probation officer Mario Ledesma. It was signed by myself on September 30th, 22. And in that regard, the probation violation of part of the agreement that my understanding of the agreement is that you were in a technical violation of failing to pay fines and costs in the amount of $301 as of September 30th, 2022. Does that sound right, Mr. Wisty?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And is that your understanding, Ms. Sutter?
It is, Your
All
Honor.
right. Mr. Richards, how do you plead to that allegation that you failed to pay fines and costs in the amount of $301 as part of your probation?
Guilty, Your Honor.
All right. So I find that the probation violation admission to be knowing, voluntarily, and accurate made. It's my understanding that there's an agreement here that that probation is continued. And it's the current probation is just continued as is, right?
Yes, Your
All right. And then I'm assuming part of those payments will be made as a part of the probation.
That's correct, Your Honor. And if I may inquire or make a request as to that specifically, he's having some difficulty paying that amount every month. He has some other obligations, including child support, and he's trying to prioritize them. Is there any possibility for the court to reduce the monthly payments? He fully understands that if that were to happen, he would be paying to collections after probation was to be concluded, but at the very least, he would be running into the concern of continuing violations.
So yeah, what is the amount he's paying per month?
He's informed me 167.
All right. And that is to get this paid by the end of probation.
Correct. Yeah, they take the number of months he's on
Right.
and divide the total by that.
So if we were to reduce it, it would give him some collectible amount afterwards. Is that fair?
Yes. So yeah, he would have an amount outstanding after the end of
Right.
probation, and he knows that would be referred to collections,
Okay.
but
So we want to put together a plan for success here, okay?
Right.
And so if you're having trouble with $167, I don't want to add to the amount of, but I want you to keep making payments. So why don't we put it at $100 a month? Okay, let's do it at $100 a month to give you some buffer. And then if we'll have some amount left over, and we'll talk about collections when we get there, okay? But it beats you getting violated and coming back in front of me for the same reason, all right? So the debt's not going away, it's just gonna be reportioned, all right?
Okay.
So I'm gonna indicate that I'm amending bond or a term of bond, I should say, to be $100 a month as opposed to the 167, just to give you some buffer, okay?
Thank you.
Anything else for the record, Mr. Wisty?
No, Your Honor.
Anything, Ms. Sutter?
no, Your Honor.
And then if is it, this is Mr. Ledesma, I believe.
Yes.
So I don't know who's taking over his caseload, but if he lets, because he's leaving us.
Yeah, he told me that last week.
So if make sure that the new probation agent knows that that's been adjusted down from $100. We're putting it in the computer,
Okay.
but just so they know we've had this discussion, okay?
Okay.
All right. Anything else for the record, Ms. Sutter?
I have nothing further.
Anything, Mr. Wisty?
No, Your Honor.
All right, that's all for the record this file. Thank you. All right, good luck to you, sir. The record in docket 21-02175, people of the state of Michigan versus Chana Castillo. Will the parties please introduce themselves to the record?
Assistant Public Defender Lauren Sutter appearing on behalf of Ms. Castillo, who is standing to my right.
And Mr. Wisty, there's no restitution in this file, so you're not taking part today, right? Correct?
Correct.
Okay. And ma'am, you are Shanna D. Castillo?
Sir.
All right. This is the time set for a sentencing in the matter. And Ms. Sutter, you've had the opportunity to go over the pre-sentence report with your client?
That's correct.
All right. Any additions, deletions, or corrections?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Allocution?
Thank you, Your Honor. I've had a few conversations with Ms. Castillo regarding this case and specifically about this recommendation for probation. And in the general, Your Honor, we don't have any issues with it. It seems a fair and accurate assessment from probation, and Ms. Castillo has no issues complying with the majority of the requests. The only request I would personally make of the court, this is another issue, not an issue, I suppose, but a case where probation has recommended as their default that PBT and urinalysis testing be ordered. In this case, this is a stolen property case. This is not a case alleging alcohol or drug abuse. So they, as always, are as a financial burden to people being put on. There's quite a high cost. I believe it's $25 a test right now, in addition to all of the other fines and costs associated with a case like this, as well as the cost of probation. I would ask that the court waive that particular condition. The remainder of the requests made from probation, there's no issues with. I would just emphasize something they have noted on here, the economic hardship portion. Ms. Castillo currently isn't working. She is looking for employment, has been making efforts, and continues to plan on making significant efforts to gain employment. She is a mother. She has 2 children, one of whom lives with her, and she's the primary caretaker for them. So being a mother, providing for her children is obviously a large priority for her. That's something I think the court should be aware of. So I would ask the court keep the fines and costs at a minimum so she can work on finding a job, work on taking care of her kids, working on getting through probation, and taking the classes and courses recommended by them. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Castillo, is there anything that you'd want to say to the court before the court passes sentence?
No, sir.
All right. I agree in a case like this where jail time does not seem to be as a material factor that we're going to burden you with a lot of costs, okay? Part of it is the accountability portion of it, okay? And you understand that. The other part is that there's certain just fines and costs I can't wait, okay? So this as to count to the guilty plea for stolen property less than 200. I'll suspend the 93 days jail beginning November 14, 2021 and give you credit for 1 day previously served. Yes.
We do have a victim here. And she would like to.
Oh, I didn't know that. All right. So would the victim like to be heard on the case?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
I request that drug testing not be waived.
All right. So let me get your, I wasn't aware you were here. Let me get your name and last name for the record, okay?
Bonnie
Bonnie,
Laney, Laney,
and the last name, how do you spell it again?
Laney.
Laney. And you're associated with the, if I remember correctly, this was the Liberty Coins.
I'm not associated with Liberty Coin. That's where she stole from me and sold it at Liberty Coin.
Okay, so there was the RNC for Liberty Coins. So I have this as a receiving and concealing originally, right? Yeah. And so are you related to the defendant in any way?
No.
Okay. But the property was originally stolen from you.
Yes.
All right.
Your Honor.
Yes.
I believe she's not related to her, but has known her since she was growing up.
Yes. I since high school.
And this property was taken from the victim's home. She was allowing her to stay.
All right. So why don't you tell me the nature of your statement? And it sounds like it's in regards to substance abuse.
She's passed out and overdosed several times in my presence. I was supervising a visit between her and her young child, Lexi. And that's when she took the property from my home when she was there for visitation.
All right. So in your opinion, is the underlying problem here an addiction related problem?
Yes.
All right.
I wrote an impact statement. I don't know if you got a copy of it or not.
I did not as a part of, it didn't make its way to the file because usually I get them. All right. But that's certainly.
Let me make sure you're right.
And I
Does
know
it-
I wasn't provided with one.
Well, let me restate that. It was added to the file, but it was written to the probation department, correct?
Yes.
All right.
And
Good.
Your Honor, I don't know if this addresses that at all. As I said, the actual charge itself doesn't involve any allegations of that. And Ms. Castillo was informing me that she already is doing random tests for the family court. So she's not under no supervision. She is doing those tests with them. She's completed rehab fairly recently, I understand, and she's already doing testing with another court.
All right. Have you seen it came as a part of probation? I'm going to give you the opportunity to read that.
And to be quite honest, Your Honor, I wasn't provided with anything for
Right.
today. I certainly not this. Thank you. May I approach, Your Honor?
You may.
Yes,
I emailed you the PSI on 17.
I apologize. I did receive that.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that. you
I'm
got it.
thinking in my brain, I had two things. One I did get, and one I didn't. I didn't get paperwork for the PD earlier.
Understood. Thank you.
Yep.
So the indication from the and by the way, I know she ended up selling the items, but you're just as much a victim as anybody here. So the only reason I asked that is to make sure I know who's from where. Your indication is that there's an there may be an underlying controlled substance issue here, and you're also there's an indication that this is long term.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Anything else, ma'am? All right. Any
Yeah. She never returned to the other toilet.
Anything else, Mr. Wisty?
Yes, Your Honor, I think the witness's statement should be considered if she's already doing drug testing. Perhaps that can be worked with probation, so the bonder bring that as well. This has the earmarks of crime that was involving substance abuse and involving taking advantage of somebody. True to that, and probably would not have acted much more.
Right. Miss Sutter, now you've heard the victim talk and you've seen the what was sent to probation, any further comment? I understand I understand the initial request was done before that, and there is present ongoing substance abuse testing through another court.
Yes, so she's involved with the family court and they are doing testing and I would just, I suppose, make the point to the court that I think that's the most appropriate authority to be handling it, and it already is being handled there. I don't know that more testing is appropriate or needed in a case like this, especially when it does come with a fairly hefty financial burden to it.
Okay. Mr. Wisty?
I would respond if the court isn't inclined to order more testing, perhaps a probation condition that if she fails to do the family court testing, it's a bond violation in this case, Your Honor.
But
It wouldn't be a bond violation. There's no bond after today.
right,
Probation violation. I apologize.
there'd be a probation violation, right? After the sentencing, because
Yes, I-
yeah, it's 6 months probation. Before I pass sentence, I'll make sure to indicate that you are a candidate for early discharge from early probation, all right? And so I'm gonna have you sign this indicating that I've talked to you about this, in which it's required. You have the right to request early discharge from probation once you've completed half of the original probation, or that's ordered by myself. You may request an early discharge from probation. If a hearing is scheduled, you have the right to retain your own lawyer for the hearing. This is all compelled upon you having a successful completion of probation would be the first 3 months, and then the probation officer okaying it, okay? I'll let you sign that for the record, and then we'll get on to the judgment of sentence. Based on, so I'm going to stay with my initial recommendation concerning jail time. There's credit for 1 day previously served. And this is on the stolen property less than $200. I'm going to essentially hold 92 days over your head, essentially. That's what probation does, right? And then we give you all these options, and you either take these options and make something of them. But once you start running out of options, I'm running out of options and I'm sending you to jail. That's not what I want to do, but that's ultimately, that's the hammer of probation, okay? There seems to be something else going on here too, and I'm trying to figure it out, all right? And so are you probably, and so are the people that love you, okay? And I have some experience with this, all right? And so, and I know cost is an issue, but I'm erring on the side of safety here, okay? I'm erring on the side of making sure that I'm not worried about you in 6 months. You're gonna be answering to me for the next 6 months. I want to make sure that you're there for children 10 years from now, 11 years from now, okay? That's what I really worry about, all right? And that's what the cycle of addiction will do, okay? And that's what we're trying to prevent. And this is the lowest level of this. You stole property and then you sold it. But there's much bigger implications for these reasons. That's what we're trying to prevent, okay? So I'm going to put fines and costs at a minimum for this misdemeanor at $100 fine and $100 cost. Crime victims' rights fee of $75 that I can't waive, 50 of state minimum costs. So that's $325, and then probation is ordered at $30 a month. So that's an additional $180 for $505 in total. There's no assaultive behavior, no use of possession of alcohol, marijuana, or controlled substance. I am ordering random PBTs at this point in time. That can be changed. It can be changed by our probation department, because I don't think there's any use in having you randomly provide random samples and it's being just overdone, right? So but I want it to be done effectively, because it's the only way that they're going to be able to tell whether you're clean or not, okay? And that's right now. So our probation can get with what you're going through family court and can see, all right, let's not redo this, okay? We don't have to have it tested twice, so you don't get double payments, for each. So who's your probation agent?
Well,
I don't have one.
Oh, yeah, she goes, but
it's just family
Yeah,
court, so she's in
yeah.
front of the court.
all right, so you want to make sure that when you go and report to probation concerning this, you want to make sure that they know that you are currently being tested. And that then I don't want it remade, but I want to make sure that you're being tested, okay? Being tested at some point by somebody, because the following 6 months are that you're to be clean, and if you start violating, then we know it's a much bigger issue than we originally thought. And if it's gotten to the point where you're overdosing, we're already there on some level, okay? So I'm going to order to submit random to PBTs at the direction of your probation agent. You are to obtain and maintain employment, not purchase or possess any firearms. Do you have any questions concerning my sentence, ma'am?
No, sir.
All right, Ms. Sutter?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Good luck to you, okay? I mean, good luck to you. If this is an underlying addictive problem, okay, and I don't expect you to answer that question here and now, all right? I just don't. My relationship with people has been based on something other than this court. And I've had people tell me exactly what I want to hear when they thought I needed to hear it. That's a problem, okay? That's a problem. That only gets you deep into the cycle, and then you got more problems on more problems. So it's up to you. Okay, the bottom line is it's really up to you. Anything else for the record, Mr. Wisty?
No, Your Honor.
All right. That's all for the record. Good luck to you, okay, ma'am?
Yep.
And then where you can get counsel, okay? If you choose, but at this point, so let me indicate that for the record. The requested summons for probation violation was submitted to the court on October 17th, 2022 by Mario Ledesma. It was signed by myself on October 17th, the same date and year. And these are the violations that are involved in the violation probation set by Mr. Ledesma. There's an allegation that you violated your probation technically in violation 6 for failing to pay fines and costs in the amount of $517 as of October 17th, with a total due of $915. There's a technical violation, number 13, of consuming alcohol while on probation per a positive alcohol test on October 1st, 2022, while on scram as reported by JSG Monitoring. Technical violation number 16 of failing to complete outpatient treatment, failed to begin treatment on October 14th, 2022, as reported by cognitive consultants. And a technical violation of number 19 of failing to pay $100 or more per month beginning on April 14th, 2022. That technical violation is of the amended order date of August 1st, 2022 per JSG. There was a confirmed tampering of the Scram instrument on October 1st, 2022. Do you understand the nature of the violations that have been brought against you?
Yes, sir.
Is that a yes? Okay. You have a right to be represented by counsel. And I see that, so based on, so you have the right, we've set these for probation violation hearing before, or it's been set by PV hearing before?
What do you mean?
Well, I'm just making sure you understand you have the right to counsel, but then I just saw the note here that you had a previous probation violation in which you sought counsel. Is that true?
No, I didn't have no counsel.
You didn't have counsel, so that was that July
It was
18th?
supposed to be here, but they.
Okay. All right, so you know you have the right to counsel, and so we have to give you 2 weeks to get that. All right, we're told a hearing within 14 days, so you can get a lawyer and you can be represented by counsel at the hearing. It'd be my recommendation to talk to a lawyer if you can. All right. Do you have? Is it your preference today to seek counsel for a hearing?
I mean, do I need it?
I can't tell you that because I haven't talked to your probation officer.
I mean,
But if it's available, there's no reason why you shouldn't talk to counsel.
I mean, because I didn't do anything well.
Well, then you're gonna have a hearing, and you definitely want counsel present, okay? Because the allegation's not gonna go away because you say you didn't do it, okay?
I mean, it should be documented, especially like with this tether, alcohol tether.
All right.
Or the tampering. And
Talk to your lawyer, and they'll get a hold of Mr. Ledesma and Mr. Wisty, and we'll see it for hearing. But Mr. Ledesma has to tell me that, and I haven't heard that. All I know is that you're being arraigned on violations.
Yeah,
right
I
now.
understand. I
Yeah,
understand.
so let me give you, I'll have my court officer give you a number for the public defender's office.
Can we take care of them? I've been paying my probation fees.
I can take care of nothing right now
Oh.
until I find out the nature of the violations and then work from there.
Yeah, because I already only get so many points at work to miss. So
Right.
I'm not trying to get
But-
fired. or nothing.
Right, I understand. And so we're gonna set it for a hearing within the next 2 weeks, all right? So you should set that time aside, all right? And then make sure you call the public defender's office so you have some lawyer representation to come for you, assuming you meet their criteria. If you don't meet their criteria, then you might have to get counsel on your own, or at least find out from Mr. Ledesma, talk to the probation agent to find out, all right, what exactly is going on here? Because we're gonna have a hearing, and I want to know what the allegations are. I've explained to you the allegations.
understand the
yeah,
allegations.
So
But I don't see why they did. Because if the people got the paperwork, I mean, they should record everything that's done with this probation, right?
I'm hoping,
Well,
yeah, that if there's an indication you've done these things,
Yeah,
then
that's what I'm saying.
yeah, then we shouldn't need a hearing, is what you're saying.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
I agree. So,
Everything should be logged in.
but in the meantime, it doesn't hurt if you can to talk to somebody from the public defender's office, okay? They will at least get involved and make sure if what you're saying is this should be recorded, that it is recorded,
Right.
all right? So probation violation set for,
November 28th at 1.
so it's set for November 28th at 1 a.m., at 1 p.m., nice, I did 1 a.m., 1 p.m.,
November 20th.
November 28th at 1 p.m. Make sure the public defender's office gets that date, because if they are representing you, we'll be notified and they'll be here for you, okay?
Okay.
So November 28th at 1 p.m. And that's live. So just the way it is now, live in person, we'll have the hearing, or we'll resolve this case, okay?
All right.
All right. Is there anything else, Mr. Whiskey, from the people in this matter?
Nothing on our way.
All right, Mr. Wilhart, anything else on this file? You should have the notice of the date and to provide to the public defender's office.
Okay.
All right. And that will be live,
All right. I got to show up in person like right now.
correct?
Cool. Gotcha.
All right. All right, we're all set. Thank you for your appearance
All
today.
right,
sir.
thank you.
Okay. And then did Miss Hill show up with her from this morning?
She left. She never came back. After I spoke with her, she just never came back.
Hi, Denise.
Hi, Susan, how are you?
How are you?